in the dark a lot about her situation. My nan she never really spoke about it around us. It was a sensitive topic to my nan, and I could see that. You know, like I can't imagine losing my child and not finding the body. So losing it and laying them to rest is different. But she lost her daughter and never found her, so I couldn't imagine what she was going through.
Hi guys, it's TJ. Welcome back to my channel. You were just listening to Chanel, and she was talking about her mum, Judy Yorke, that went missing in New Zealand here over 25 years ago. And she was only 4 when her mum went missing, and that was done on RNZ, Radio New Zealand. I'm going to have all the links to everything we visit and a podcast that they did about this in other cases in the description box below. I'm going to show information in the middle of this video where you can submit tips if you have tips. This is why we do the show. We need things solved, and it's time for Judy to come home. I just want to say to Judy's family, I was unable to find you or get hold of you. You're more than welcome to come on the show and tell us your thoughts. I hope this helps. I don't want to bring up any grief or anything like that for you guys. I just want to help, and so do all my supporters. So let's get into it. I thought the best place to start was to tell you where we are talking about today. So 2 places in the North Island of New Zealand, which I have on screen here, and we're going to try and it never works properly. We're going to try and zoom in. So we have the town of Te Puke just here, and that's where her family, Judy's family and herself lived, and this is Matapihi. This is where she went missing from on that night, which we'll find out more about soon. Quickly, we're going to look at Te Puke on Wikipedia. Te Puke is a town located 28 kilometres southeast of Tauranga in the Western Bay of Plenty of New Zealand. It is particularly famous for the cultivation of kiwi fruit. Didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Te Puke is close to Tauranga, Mount Maunganui, Papamoa and Maketu, which are all coastal towns or cities. The town's name means the hill and should be pronounced Te Puke, not the occasional Te Puke that some of the international people like to try and pronounce. So make sure you've got this one right. This name is reflective of its location as it is on a hill near the Papamoa Hills. Te Puke West, comprising the statistical areas of Te Puke West and Te Puke East, has a population of 8,688 at the 2018 New Zealand census, so not overly big. Matapihi is a suburb and peninsula of Tauranga in the Bay of Plenty region of New Zealand's North Island. So if we look, that's the closest big town, Tauranga, there. In the Bay of Plenty region of New Zealand's North Island. Surrounded on most sides by the Tauranga Harbour, Matapihi had a population of just 729 at the 2018 New Zealand census. So very small places. We're going to start at nowtolove.co.nz. So this looks like a story that was done in the Women's Day magazine, which is for overseas subs. Women's Day is just a women's magazine full of stories and puzzles and horoscopes. Great stuff. This was September 13, 2016. So where is our Judy? Whānau's tears for missing mum. And I don't know where the author or the reporter that did this. It was pouring with rain when Judy Yorke woke before dawn. Shaking her partner William Clark awake in the dark, she told him, "There's something wrong with Judy." William told Tia to go back to sleep, but she lay awake until the sun came up, worrying about her big sister. Less than 5 kilometres away on the other side of Te Puke, Tara's dad Willie Yorke was also awake in the early hours of October 22nd, 1992. A seasonal orchard worker, he had a terrifying nightmare that his oldest daughter Judy was calling his name, but he couldn't find her. You hear a lot about this, and I think Māori are very spiritual, and so you hear a lot about that, and I don't discount anything. I've got such an open mind, and the world's a weird and wild place. Anything could happen. Please be open about things in the comments below. Tara, now aged 47, and her father, Willie, 67, still recall their vivid dreams like they were yesterday. But by the time the pair got up to a wet spring morning 24 years ago, their nightmares were beginning to turn into a reality. Judy Yorke was 25, a 25-year-old single mum to Joseph, who was then 7, and Chanel, who was 3, was missing. The night before, at about 6 p.m, she had driven to her parents' house on Valley Road in Te Puke and dropped off her daughter Chanel. Her son Joseph was already there because he lived with Jane and Willie since he was born. Judy was wearing a black shirt, black jeans and distinctive black shoes with a buckle on the top, and you can see from the picture she is an absolutely beautiful girl. That night she borrowed her sister Tara's gold earrings, which had a lion's head on them. Chanel may only have been 3 at the time, but still recalls snippets of the last night she saw her mum, now aged 27, bearing in mind this is from 2016. She is the mother herself to a baby daughter called Gospel. What a beautiful name. She says, I remember Mum handing me to Nan, and Nan wrapping me in one of those itchy old wool blankets, she said. That's it. Then she left, waving goodbye to her family. Judy drove away in her 1979 white Honda Accord hatchback. Judy was a clean-living mum who kept a meticulous house and dedicated herself to her family. She was recently single after a difficult relationship. That evening, she was enjoying newfound freedom. Judy's family says she went to 2 local haunts, the Anchor Inn and the Te Puke pub. The last known sighting of Judy was in the wee hours of the morning at a party in a packing shed in the old Timanaya orchard near Mount Maunganui, and that's sort of the Matapehi or Matapehi area. By 7 a.m. the next day, Tara knew something was amiss. Her sister had promised to call her early, like she did most mornings. We were close. Judy called me or Mum when she woke up, and then about 10 times a day, she said. When I didn't hear from her, I knew something was wrong. Families are always the ones that know their loved ones the best, and so they're often the first ones to know that something's definitely going on. That morning, Tara drove to her sister's house on Dunlop Road. Judy's ex had moved out and was in prison at the time. That morning, she said, I saw Judy's car parked down the side of the house and all of the curtains were pulled, recalls Tara. I thought she just was hungover and having a sleep in. Tara left, but returned later that day with Dad, Willie and little Chanel. By then, they'd contacted the police but been told to wait 24 hours to see if Judy showed up. And that peeves me off to no end. I don't know why the police do that. I don't actually know. I don't think that's something that they do now, and I do hope it's something they don't do now here in New Zealand. Like I said, the family or the ones that know their loved ones, if something's wrong and they know it, something's bloody wrong. At Judy's house, Willie pushed Chanel through a crack in a window and told her to let them in the front door. As soon as we walked into the house, even Dad got worried, tells Tara. Judy's family teased her about her fastidious housekeeping. She often vacuumed several times a day. That morning, her house was a mess. There were clothes everywhere and her car keys were just thrown on the floor, explains Tara. I remember just crying. I knew she was truly missing. Over the next few days, the Yorke family retraced Judy's footsteps and talked to all of her friends. Whānau came from as far away as the far north to help out, and for you overseas people, whānau is just friends and family, close friends and family, very important people. The police launched a murder investigation and interviewed the 30-odd partygoers in the orchard that night. Few clues were uncovered. On October the 28th, 1992, 6 days after she disappeared, Judy failed to show for Chanel's 4th birthday party. Judy would never miss her little girl's birthday, says Tara. She was gone, and someone out there knew what happened. So Judy left behind a few clues. The night she disappeared, she was carrying a purse with a bank book and Chanel's birth certificate inside. Those items were never recovered. The only thing found were her black buckled shoes, covered in mud, one each side of a shelter on the 3-hectare orchard where the party was hosted the night she disappeared. With the passing of time, that orchard has now become a housing development, because we've got to remember it was a long time ago now, 1992. Police stopped searching for Judy after a while, but her family never did. We looked for days, for weeks, for months, for years, says Tara. We talked to clairvoyants who all told us to look in different places. The Kaituna River, the forest past Katikati. We hunted all over the Bay of Plenty for Judy. And I do remember that Sensing Murder did a show on this case. And Sensing Murder is basically a program where psychics, well-renowned ones, look into it. But I couldn't find any information about what they did or didn't find or came up with or anything like that. And no one felt the anguish of that fruitless search more than Judy's late mother Jane. Judy was the oldest daughter of 3 and the pair were extremely close. Judy's first job after leaving Te Puke High School was alongside her mum as a seamstress at Bird Manufacturing. Mum never gave up looking for Judy, says Tara. I remember her doing the dishes, looking out the window and saying, "Happy birthday, my darling," on her birthday. And this is the stuff that gets me teared up. It is the Yorke family's greatest regret that Jane went to her grave with the grief of not knowing where her darling daughter lay. It broke Mum's heart to lose Judy, and all she wanted before she died was to get her baby back. Jane passed away last year after a short battle with lung cancer. She was 66. Willie is still grieving for his daughter and is now struggling after the loss of his beloved wife. Sometimes he just talks about wanting to be with Nan, says Tara. Definitely the hardest thing for me is when parents pass and they never got the closure or never got some justice or answers. I think that is just incredibly sad, and that is one of the things that moves me and makes me want to do these videos, to pass them around, to share them on Facebook, share them wherever you can on all your social media. We need to get these cases solved. Continues Chanel, now I have had my own child. It's been an eye-opener. I can't imagine the pain of losing a child, let alone not having one to lay to rest. Chanel was only 3 when her mum vanished, so has few memories of her. People ask if I miss her, but you can't miss what you don't know, she explains. That's an awful thing for a kid not to remember. Her memories are snatches in time, a hug, being handed to a nan, the lolly jar at home. I remember crying and Koro going home to get my teddy, she recalls. For some reason, I wanted raisins, so he got me those as well. I still remember people crying and the police and reporters at the house. Every time there was another meeting, I had to leave the room so they could talk. Chanel says she and her brother Joseph had a happy and loving childhood growing up with their grandparents, which is great. I was my nan's shadow. If she went into the garden, I would be there, hanging on her skirts and singing her songs from school. Smiles Chanel. When the other kids went to the hot pools, I never wanted to go. I didn't want to ever leave my nan, which is quite understandable after losing your mum. Over the last 2 decades, Judy has missed out on the birth of her first grandchild and many nieces and nephews. Tara says she loved children and would have loved seeing the family grow. And all the women are very, very beautiful. The whānau accepts that Judy is dead and has always believed she was murdered. Getting Judy's body back is a dream they still hope for, and so do we. On a hill overlooking the Kaituna River in Te Puke, Judy's mum Jane is buried in the family urapa near Te Marae. She lies alongside her own mother and near a tiny stillborn daughter of Judy's. The graveyard can be seen from Tara's property and from Chanel's home. It's good to be able to keep an eye on Mum, says Tara. The family hopes new information will one day come to light that will let them put Judy to rest with her whānau. Judy should be lying up there on that hill too, says Tara. She is whānau and there will always be a place for her at the urapa. Judy will never be forgotten. Wow. I got to say that is one really, really good story. I wish it said who done it so I could give them a shout out. We're going to keep going. Let's see if we can't get a bit more information on what's happened over the years. nzherald.co.nz. This is a sad update on this one. Further tragedy for missing woman's daughter. This was in 2017 by Carolyn Ming Ye. Chanel Yorke will never forget the night she was dropped off at her nan's house by her mama. She said, I clearly remember sitting on my nan's lap, wrapped up in an itchy blanket. Mum waved goodbye and that was that. Judith Yorke left to go to a party near Mount Maunganui on October 1st, 92, and she never came home. That was almost 25 years ago, and police and her family believe she was the victim of foul play. Police have confirmed to the Herald on Sunday they are now reviewing the case. Yorke is now a mother herself to a baby daughter Gospel. She was just 3 the last time she saw her mum. She said, I can't miss someone I didn't really know or remember, which makes me feel bad. I didn't have an emotional connection with her. Chanel and her brother Joseph were raised by their maternal grandparents Jane and William. The former dental assistant has just faced another cruel blow. Her fiancé, the love of her life, and Gospel's dad died 5 weeks ago. The concrete layer was killed in a car crash on his way home from work. So not only has this young girl lost her mum, but she lost her partner, the love of her life, her baby daddy as well. Very, very unfair, and let's hope we can help her with at least getting her mum back. Yorke's family thought her mother had gone off with friends, but they contacted police a week later when she failed to show up for her daughter's 4th birthday on October the 28th. Speaking to the Herald on Sunday as the 25th anniversary of her mum's disappearance nears, Yorke said she is not a hater and she's not seeking revenge, but she wants the perpetrators to face up to what they did. They have to live with what they did every day, so they are probably suffering more than I am. I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing I killed someone. Neither would I, and I don't know how people do it. It's just insane. I hope they would do the right thing, but I doubt they will, she said from her Te Puke home. Yorke and her family believe they know who is responsible for her mother's disappearance. So this is the first time we're hearing this, that they think they know who is responsible. And obviously, first thing that crosses your mind, if they think they know who's responsible, do police know who's responsible? And if so, why aren't they in custody? And obviously the first thought is because they haven't got enough evidence. Police confirmed to the Herald on Sunday they are reviewing the case to see if new advances in forensics can help. We have always had suspects and we always believed someone from the party was involved. The general consensus is she was killed at the party and disposed of later on, said Inquiry Head Detective Senior Sergeant John Wilson of the Bay of Plenty CIB. Wilson added, the key to this case is time has passed. People who may have had allegiances to the people involved in the disappearance and murder may have changed. My hope is someone will do the right thing and come forward to tell us what they know. And this is how some cases get solved. Absolutely. People change their friendships. They don't need to be loyal to the same people they were loyal to, 30 years ago. And they need to get it off their conscience, need to get it off their shoulders. And we want that to happen. If you do have any info about the cases that I cover on my channel, please contact Crimestoppers anonymously. It is anonymous. I've checked it out. 0800 555 111, or you can go online, crimestoppers-nz.org. Call 105 or go online and you can contact your local police by that way as well. Now, I do have a case number for this, 921101/7300. So if you're going to call in a tip, please use that case number. nzmissing@gmail.com. If you want to get hold of me, look us up on Facebook and where you hear your podcasts. If you can support the channel with a $3 donation to help us keep going, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/NZ Mysteries. All this information is going to be in the description box below. Even other ways to donate, and please like my channel and subscribe. It doesn't mean bugger all to you, but it means heaps to my channel and helps it get seen to more people that need to see it. And hit that notification bell to all, and that will mean you get notified when I do release updates on cases that I've covered in new videos. Thank you everyone that has helped support in some way. Let's keep going. I wanted to actually cover this little tidbit that I found. It was, well, I'm on pressreader.com, but it was in the Bay of Plenty Times 2020. Caroline Fleming call for another dig at cold case. Contractor believes orchard was not searched thoroughly. Sorry, bit of mouth mush going. An earth-moving contractor who helped search for the body of missing Tauranga woman Judy Yorke says in his view, the Matapihi orchard she disappeared from was not searched thoroughly enough. However, the initial lead detective in the case says police could not have dug up the area anymore unless there was strong evidence to prove they needed to. Tauranga man Stan says he was phoned by police back in 1993 to help with the search for Judy not long after her disappearance. He was an earth-moving contractor and did a lot of excavation work, he said. This is quite a hard way to read, so bear with me. He said he was asked to meet officers at the property in Matapihi where she was last seen. Police told him they believed she was buried somewhere near a dead horse on the site. He was told they had a person they were ready to arrest, but they needed physical evidence, he said. Officers were searching the area with a very small ground-penetrating radar. It was about the size of a wheelbarrow. He recalled that it did not come up with anything of interest. There were close to 35 officers at the scene, many being new recruits and trainees, he said. They asked him to remove topsoil in a couple of small areas beside a shelter belt row of trees. When the topsoil is scraped away, it leaves the clay soil beneath exposed, and then it's easy to see a change in colour where that clay soil has previously been disturbed, indicating something has possibly buried there, he said. He found some bones, but it was quickly determined they were from an animal, possibly a horse. He was asked to strip a few other areas, but nothing else was found. He says police were running out of time and decided to end the search there. He said the total area uncovered was only about 10 metres by 3 metres, and he was surprised more of the several-acre paddock wasn't explored. I have two things on this. To the families, it's never going to be enough, and to some people, there's never going to be enough searching, and I'm not going to say whether I think the police did the right amount of time in digging or not. But they are restrained with other cases that they may have, and resources and money and things like that. So just thought I'd throw that in there. At the time, he told officers he would be happy to bring in a larger digger to continue working the area, but they didn't seem to think it was important. He contacted police again a few years later, telling them they needed to expose a large area, but nothing eventuated. He says, I have, in the course of my excavation work, which spans more than 40 years, found 5 human bodies that have been buried. These were all determined to be pre-European. Wow, what a job, huh? I would love the opportunity to further my work at the site in Matapihi in the hope of bringing closure for Judith's family. I'm very good at what I do, and I believe police have not searched there properly. I understand from one of the previous articles, though, that it's been turned into a housing development. So I don't even know if that's something he could do. Alan Cullen was the lead investigator of the Yorke case back in 1992, but a promotion in 93 meant he had to leave the investigation before the Matapihi search. Collins said he oversaw many searches and recalled the Matapihi search was, quote, massive. He said there is no guarantee if she was there that we would have actually been able to find her. Collins said that early on in the investigation they had an Auckland police helicopter fly over the site with specialised heat detection equipment used to find buried bodies. He said corpses let off heat as they decomposed. They found a number of animals in the search but had no luck with Judy. He said it was very difficult to find a body and police would have been under budget constraints. Police could not have kept digging unless there was strong evidence to prove they needed to. He said Tauranga police were dealing with a number of homicides around that time and they did not have the resources. Very sad that they don't have the resources. But this was 93, so you've got to bear that in mind, I suppose. Bay of Plenty Detective Senior Sergeant John Wilson said police were confident a, quote, thorough and comprehensive investigation was carried out following Judy's disappearance. This includes multiple searches in several areas where inquiries determined there was good cause to do so. He did not address this guy's call for further excavation at the orchard. This remains an open investigation and police would still very much like to be able to bring closure for Judith's family. Wilson said, we know that new information regarding her disappearance could come to light and we would encourage anyone who can assist to come forward. Anyone with information can make contact over 105 to Sergeant Rob Lamoto, and again that number, case number 921101/7300, and we will have that in the description box below. Alright, we're going to come up to this last article here. Now, I'm on stuff.co.nz and they're talking about a podcast series from Radio New Zealand, RNZ, which I'm going to have the link to this page in the description box so you can come and listen to it if you want to. And that's where I did the little promo at the beginning, not promo I should say, the little clip at the beginning with her daughter. The Lost, What Happened to Judith Yorke. This is by Paloma Magoni and this is 2017. At least one of about 30 people is believed to hold the key to the disappearance of mother of two Judith Yorke 25 years ago. The 25-year-old, known as Judy, was last seen at an orchard shed where she was partying with about 30 others in Matapihi on October 21st, 92. The police believe she was killed. All the partygoers were interviewed. One of them became the main suspect. And the person's name is in this article. I'm not going to say it. I don't think I need to, but you can go and look if you want to. But police have never gone back to the partygoers, despite believing some never completely told the truth, and Judy has yet to be found. Judy's daughter Chanel Yorke told RNZ's The Lost it was time the police called back the witnesses to find out what happened to her mother. Very strange. Why don't you go back to those witnesses? I'm just out of words. Speechless for that one. Chanel was just shy of her 4th birthday when Judy went missing, so remembers very little about her. She said, certain perfumes I smell remind me of her, but I have no real memories, she says. I do hope that one day we find her. I'm still hopeful. I know it's a long shot, but I guess there is still hope. Alan Cullen was the lead investigator when Judy went missing in 92. He has since retired from the police but says solving her disappearance is still important to him. He was called in 14 days after Judy was last seen at Matapihi and immediately launched a homicide investigation. Judy had dropped off Chanel with her parents in Te Puke and gone out to a hotel in Wanganui, and then she went out with her former partner's brother, and Colin says the pair were sleeping together. About 11 p.m, Judy and the suspect, well, the main person of interest, and the 4 others headed to Matapihi in her car. They had planned to go to a marae, but was closed, so headed to the orchard shed known to have music and booze. Judy was last seen there between 1 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. When the group she'd arrived with didn't find her, they left in her car without her. Great friends. Her muddied shoes were found a day later. The police interviewed the partygoers about Judy's last whereabouts, but Colin doesn't believe everyone told the truth. I think if everyone told the truth, Judy would have been found, obviously. There were so many inconsistencies, the police went back and interviewed them again. He says the people in Judy's car before and after the party were looked at closely. When asked why the suspect, Colin says the police looked for motive, opportunity, and jealousy is a strong motive. Clearly, no one admitted doing Judy any harm, so we just ran into a solid brick wall. RNZ contacted one of the people at the party, but they declined to talk. The police looked at other theories, but it didn't yield anything. Colin said he is disappointed the police haven't gone back to witnesses, but understands why. He says, unfortunately, I think if you look at that Bay of Plenty area over the last 6 or 7 years, they actually have had a large number of homicide investigations to investigate. He believes more than one person knows what happened to Judy, and he'd meet any of them if it would lead to her body. Detective Senior Sergeant John Wilson is looking after Judy's case now and says Judy's case was also looked at in 2008 and 2012. He says 25 years is a long time, and people's allegiances and loyalty to other people change. So, question, so why didn't the police go back to the witnesses? He says, I don't think there is anything to gain by that. I don't understand that to myself. Sorry, just sometimes people need a little bit of a shove or something to come forward. If they're just left, then the secret stays buried. That's just my thoughts. I don't know. Tell me in the comments below what you think. They told us at the time what they wanted to tell us. They need to reach a milestone where they decide if they've got something that's on their mind that they know is going to help us, then they need to come forward. And maybe me sitting here talking to you would be enough to prompt that. That's my hope, he said. Chanel hopes her voice will make the difference. Hearing Judy's daughter's voice might be different than hearing the same voices all the time. Listening to the same stories that actually knew her like her parents and sisters and her good friends. Maybe they might feel bad because I have no connection with my mum, she said. It might touch them in a different way because they have children or grandchildren and they might step up and say something. Maybe. This one breaks my heart. Actually, all of them broke my heart, to be honest. But it's time for Judy to come home. So please help. Please share this story all over your social media, all over your Facebook, not just in the Bay of Plenty, all over New Zealand, because people could be anywhere now. These people, it's time to come forward now for the family. And call the numbers in the description box below. You can be completely anonymous, but I'm betting that someone has a lot of stuff on their shoulders and it would feel so good to get rid of that guilt. And thank you very much for everyone who has stuck with me. I know this was a long one and I did a few mouth mushes, but I got through it. Love to see you on the next video. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so I can update you if anything comes out of this. I will see you next time. Bye guys.